Okay. Well, we have a quorum of council present and our start time has come, so I'll just open up the meeting. My name is Mike Little, Mayor of the District of North Vancouver. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone here to the council workshop for Tuesday, February 22nd at 7 o'clock. This public workshop is being taking place both in person and virtually as well. So members of the public, council, and staff can participate either in person or virtually. But we do have a majority of the council present on the meeting, and I don't believe I have any regrets from councillors. Oh, Councillor Murray is not going to be joining us, but the others are expected along shortly. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, so the purpose of tonight's meeting is for the council to hear a few updates from staff. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to add their comments. That opportunity will be at the tail end of the meeting. Council, we have an agenda that's been circulated. Are there any errors or omissions from the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Will someone move adoption of the agenda, please?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Back, seconded by Councillor Hanson. I'll call the question on the motion. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carries. Next item up is now we're on to reports from councillor staff. I'm going to go to Mr. Joyce to really introduce the whole evening first, and then get us led off with the Northlands Golf Course. Mr. Joyce.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight's agenda originated from a discussion I had with the Mayor for an update on Northlands Golf Course. At that time, we decided to add the two other municipal attractions, Maplewood Farm and the Ecology Center, to updating council, which I think you're going to find is a very interesting evening, actually. So there's three presentations tonight. Gary Nettergaard will present for Northlands. And I'd be remiss at this point. I was looking at Gary's slides and noticing celebrating 25 years of public golf. So Gary's also celebrating 25 years of public service to the district as well, which we still have to celebrate with him given the COVID, but Gary's been with us since the start. Hard to believe it's been 25 years. Followed up by Selena Merrick, who is our new supervisor at Maplewood Farm. He'll give a presentation on the farm. And Michelle Martin, who's going to wow us with some technology and some of the fun things they've been doing out at the Ecology Center over the last year. Each presenter has about 15 minutes long. Suggesting it might be best for council to hold their questions at the end. That gives us 30 or 40 minutes for each of the presentations in total, or each of the three subject areas, and some time left over. If there's more detailed requests for information, we can certainly report back to council. As I say, the three very separate areas, and it's quite informative with the presentations and what staff is doing in these areas. And so with that, as His Worship mentioned, we're going to start off with Northlands, followed by Maplewood Farm, and followed off by the Ecology Center. Staff 15 minutes, questions from council, and then a wrap up towards the end. So with that, Your Worship, if it's okay, I'll turn it over to Gary Nettergaard to give us an update on Northlands.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Welcome, Mr. Nettergaard.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes,
we can, Gary, yes.
Great, thank you. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to review golf operations to you this evening. This presentation will focus on the past two seasons since the start of COVID and how it has affected golf operations, with performance measures specifically relating to 2021. And as you can see, as Gavin mentioned as well, we are in our 25th year of golf on the North Shore, something we're very proud of. I'd like to start off with golf participation. During COVID, I don't think you can think of anything that's positive about it. But we were fortunate that golf was deemed a safe activity. This allowed many to enjoy a little bit of normalcy during COVID, and just got people out of the house. And golf was just one of those sports that social distancing, it was just a natural sport that people can participate in safely. At the start of COVID, in March of 2020, the golf course had to shut down. We did not know where golf operations was going to go. It was going to be closed for a week, 2 weeks, a month, all year. And it was a big cause of concern at the time. And we were fortunate to open in May 4th of 2020 once the provincial government kind of came up with some rules, and we were able to open for business on a limited basis. Historically, prior to COVID, we did approximately 46,000 rounds per year, and weather being probably the biggest factor on a year-to-year basis on how many golfers we get per year. During that past 10 years, golf was on a slight decline throughout North America. Lack of time, the cost of living, people taking up other activities like biking and hiking. Those all kind of took away from a lot of the golfers from the early 2000s. So with 46,000 rounds being our average, our highest mark ever was at the peak of golf when Tiger Woods came to the forefront and golf was at its most popular. We did 51,500 rounds. Now, having said that, with COVID and with the protocols in place, we actually had to hold back quite a few tee times, going from 10-minute intervals, which we are currently. Before in 2019, we were at 8 and 9 minute intervals, getting more people through the course. So in 2021, we did 58,606 rounds. That is by far our biggest amount ever, blowing every record out of the books. And considering the weather that we had, 2021 came up with new weather terms I don't think any of us heard before. Weather bombs, I'm not sure what that was, but it sure came to the forefront. A mini tornado hit University Golf Course back in, I believe, end of August, early September. During our spring and early summer, we didn't have enough rain. We're in a somewhat drought condition. Then too much rain, record heat, extreme cold during Christmas, and unfortunately floods in the Fraser Valley. All that comes to play when it comes to the number of rounds played, especially in June when that heat wave hit. Play subsided dramatically. People weren't even golfing in the morning. It was just too hot. So when you take all these factors in, the amount of rounds that actually could have been achieved in 2021 would have been well over 60,000. And it just on a side note, any day that it was, as long as the course was open, regardless of the weather, people came out and played, which prior to COVID, that didn't really happen. So it just goes to show how well people took to the sport, and it was such a safe activity to do. And last little weather fact, between September and November, I mean, we have weather stats here since 1998, I believe, is when we got our weather station installed. And during that time, we had an all-time record rainfall of 1,200 millimeters. And for those of you who are not into millimeters, that's 4 feet of rain. So you can see that, again, we could have put through a lot more rounds if just average weather happened during that time period. When it comes to golf participation, you have to talk about revenues. So Northlands has 4 main revenue centers. Of course, they're green fees, power carts, merchandise, pull carts, rental clubs combined into one, and advanced booking fees. 4 of the 5 revenue centers set all-time records in the 25 years we've been open for business, with rental clubs not reaching those records. And of course, that was due to COVID restrictions. We were not renting rental clubs at all to anyone until late in 2021. And of course, lack of tourism. Those just weren't coming. Our previous record for total revenue, on average, we do the last 10 years, it's been about 2.8 million, give or take. And of course, weather does have a major factor when that poor weather hits. If it's in the peak season, spring season, really plays a part in it. The highest mark we ever did was $3.05 million. And we've hit that, we've come close many times, but in 2009 and 2019, just before COVID, we hit those records. 2021, we hit 4.1 million. So with the amount of golf and just the demand for golf was through the roof, and the golf course handled it well. With all those rounds played, the golf course did condition-wise. You think wear and tear was at the forefront, but that goes to our maintenance crew that looks after the course very well. Advance fees is something that we introduced about 10 years ago. We were one of the first in the lower mainland to do it, and now a lot of courses have followed us. We had a demand for people looking to book more than 5 days in advance for that special birthday, anniversary, soccer, baseball team wants to get together. And we introduced it, and for the most part, it was a good added benefit to our customers. And the highest we ever achieved was $26,000 in 2019. To go show how participation was at a boom for 2021, advance fees were $192,000. So every available TTAM that we put on the market was taken up. But what we did do is we did realize that we did not want to alienate any segment of our customers. So outside the 5-day advance booking window where everyone has a chance to book the majority of the tee times, we only allowed 30% of our tee times to be booked ahead of the public. And this was just to accommodate everyone's wishes, the fact that it was just something that all the golf courses were doing. And some courses booked all their tee times in advance for an additional fee. And we heard a lot of feedback from our customers, especially in 2020 when we reopened from a COVID close. So it was just, again, it just goes to show the demand for golf was at its all-time peak. Carbon reduction and climate action plans. This is very important for us, as it is at the district and pretty much everywhere across the province. As our building and the golf course is 25 years old, a lot of the equipment is aging, as either has been replaced or is planned to be replaced. Heat pumps and high efficiency furnaces were installed just recently in the fall and winter, replacing the 25-year units. Our gas water heater was replaced with an electrical unit back in the summer. Outdoor lighting fixtures have been switched over to LED, and we're actually this week just started switching our indoor lighting to LED fixtures. Our equipment, when it comes to golf course heavy duty equipment like tee mowers, green mowers, fairway mowers, we've always looked to change our equipment over to electric or hybrid units. Unfortunately, the golf industry has been lacking in terms of getting this equipment onto the marketplace, specifically for our terrain, being a mountainous course. Electric vehicles traversing this terrain, it hasn't got there yet. However, the fairway mowers, we just put an order in. We demoed them in 2019 and put an order in late 2020. Didn't get them till late 2021 with the supply chain issues, but we replaced them with hybrid units. And so when we're getting from point A to point B, it's electric. And when we're cutting, it's doing its job with the motors. So it's definitely reducing our carbon footprint. Our greens mower, which is probably our most precision piece of equipment. Without good greens, you don't have a golf course, or you don't have a golf course that people want to play on a regular basis. Everything else, fairways, tees, and everything like that can be somewhat of a lesser quality, which we try never to do, but our greens is our #1 priority. And making sure that the equipment that we had in place that is fully electric can do the job as a walk behind mower or a gas powered mower have finally come to market. We have one now. We have another one on order for 2022, and we'll see when that arrives. But so far, it's been absolutely outstanding with no issues. When it comes to our smaller handheld backpack blowers, weed whackers, and such, we have replaced many of those pieces of equipment. The equipment we use to rake bunkers are fully electric rakers. Backpack blowers, we have many that are battery packed. With wind events that do happen from time to time, we do have still a number of gas-powered backpack blowers because it's just too big of a job for an electric unit. And the last thing I'd like to say about what we're doing on the golf course in the last a few years and continue doing is the golf course, of course, takes a lot of maintenance, a lot of care to maintain. So a lot of the areas that we know that the golf course, when it was originally built and how it's being used, the areas that are not have high traffic or won't penalize players too much, we're allowing it to go back to its natural state. Of course, that means reducing the need for fertilizer, routine maintenance, and watering. When it comes to our watering regimen, we do have a full water plan that's submitted to the district every year, as well as we're replacing our sprinkler heads to state-of-the-art, more high-efficient sprinkler system, so that we're only watering areas that need be, instead of a T-deck that is square and a rotating sprinkler head. Of course, you're going to get water waste. So we're replacing these areas with high efficiency sprinklers. The big part of Northlands, which goes from our customer experiences, Northlands Bar and Grill, our food operator. As you're well aware, the food industry has been heavily impacted, like so many other hospitality industries during COVID. They've been forced to close, and then if they were allowed to reopen, it was under some pretty strict COVID protocols, minimized capacities. So a lot of the customers, excuse me, were forced outside in our wonderful patio when the weather was nice. But during the COVID, they have done an outstanding job under difficult circumstances. And as you can well imagine, price increases to food and customer uncertainty and hesitancy came into play. Northlands Bar and Grill is not the only restaurant that has suffered from COVID. I'm sure some of your favorite smaller restaurants either reduced their operating hours or closed. And customer are now have gone to Uber Eats and DoorDash and those online services, which is good for the short term, but how that affects the restaurant industry and specifically our food and beverage operator down the road, we're going to wait and see where the industry is. We're hoping that with golf being still popular, the number of golfers coming through will still sustain the business, because the majority of their traffic is our traffic. Moving forward, that product availability, the higher food cost, limited staffing is another big issue that's going to be to the forefront for many industries, and especially food and beverage. But our food and beverage operator, we work closely with on a day-to-day basis. They have a great staff, committed staff, and we're looking for another good season at Northlands. During 2021, it was, I think, mid-season where proof of vaccinations came in, and that really helped our food and beverage operator and the industry. So with now the most protocols lifted, other than proof of vaccination and still wearing masks indoors while moving around, again, we're optimistic that the Northlands Bar and Grill will have a successful season after some pretty tough times revenue-wise. And of course, the main role of our food and beverage operator, they are under a service agreement, and it is to meet the daily needs of golfers. When golfers show up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, coffee and muffins, breakfast sandwich, a hot dog and a beverage at the turn, and hopefully they have enough time after the round to go out for lunch or dinner. Again, we have one of the best patios on the North Shore. We've got a great establishment up there. So we're looking for good things moving forward. The other property that golf facilities oversees is Myrtle Fraser. Similar to Northlands Golf Course, Myrtle Fraser has seen an immense increase in participation since they were really allowed to open back in 2020. Similar to what we did in 2020 at Myrtle Fraser, we had to limit the spacing and the amount of people on the property at any given time. In 2021, Myrtle Fraser saw a 50% increase in play compared to pre-COVID 2019. The weather in 2019 was excellent, and that's why we had a good year, and so did Myrtle Fraser. But during weekdays pre-COVID, it was a lot of the people that use Myrtle Fraser on a regular basis outside of weekends is seniors, semi-retired, juniors after school. But every day, 7 days a week, it was just filled with everyone who wanted to play golf. Cruise Control Management, Ian Cruz, he's celebrating 26 years at Myrtle Fraser. He's been running the golf shop operations for those 26 years. And for the past 13 years, he's been tasked to operate the entire operation, maintenance as well. And since then, he's been providing excellent service, consistently maintains the facility. We're happy that we have him, and he's in place for still a number of years in the near future. With the BC Hydro Substation project underway or in progress, I think that'll still take a year or two before it's finally wrapped up. So Ian's already very well aware of what to expect, and there's mitigating factors that he's for parking and accessibility to the property. And we're very happy that we have Ian there operating the facility for us on a day-to-day basis. Looking ahead, with the industry, there's two main industry associations that we rely on in Canada. Golf Canada is the governing body of golf, of course, and the National Golf Course Owners Association. It's a North American-wide association with a Canadian and a US components. And both of them and all the other studies that we can find is saying that, you know, golf will have seen this bump in number of rounds played and participation, and that will hold steady through 2022 and 2023. We still don't know where COVID is going to go. We're hoping that we're at the back end of it and it stays at an endemic stage, but you know, we have to be prepared for a new wave. So having said that, these are all, you know, at today's information, based on if we are in an endemic stage, that we will see an increase to golf in the next 2 years. 2024 through 2030, we will see that rate start to settle downwards, of course, with the aging population. The people that got into the sport again maybe leave, but we're confident that the bump that we've seen the last 2 years will continue on for the next 10. You know, that's what we're expecting. And when people left the game, I got tired of it because it is a frustrating sport. And when people have come back, and we've seen people who've come back to the golf course we haven't seen in, say, 5 years, and now they're here 3-4 times a week. They said, I got so frustrated with the sport, but now I'm back. I'm loving it. So it's one of those sports that you get hooked on it. It's a sport that you can play for as long as you can. We're going to continue, as I mentioned, carbon reduction, water conservation, and equipment upgrades to move away from fossil fuels. The restaurant services, as I mentioned previously, we have put that out to the marketplace quite recently, back in 2017 and a number of years before that, I believe in 2014. Each time we put it out, there wasn't a lot of interest for qualified people to submit their proposals. During COVID, we will need the market to get back to some normalcy for them, recoup some of their losses, and see where we are. So we will be looking to go out to the marketplace in 2023, early of 2023, and that coincides to our current operator and working with them at the moment to just keep, because it's such it's not a large revenue portion for us, but it's such a big service portion for our customers that when they walk or drive into our parking lot, enter the golf shop, play the golf course, finish 18, go up to our restaurant, and have all the touch points in between, that they go away satisfied at all touch points when they're here at the golf course. And with 25 years in the business, sustainment capital will maintain and increase due to aging infrastructure, of course, supply chain issues. But we have bridges and cart paths and buildings that, working with facilities in our buildings, we're upgrading on a regular basis. But bridges on the golf course, the cart paths and such, they are showing their age, and we're working and doing as much work in-house as much as possible. And when it comes to any repairs to bridges or anything like that, we'll just have to go out and get those repaired as required. I can't end this presentation without talking about our staff. As always, they do an amazing job. They've been, for a lot of them, we have very little turnover here at Northlands Golf Course. And with myself and Steve being here 25, this is our 26th year, the crew here, I mean, they're just an amazing group of people. During COVID, you know, it was very tough on them because we were busy every day, uncertainty of COVID, and they came to work each and every day. We didn't have one COVID case. There was not any need for contact tracing through provincial health or local health authorities. And our customers we're so thankful for our staff, and I hope you are as well. So I thank you for your time and look forward to your comments later on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I know that very early on in COVID, I remember I was confronted by a former counselor, Rick Buckles, a friend in the parking lot of Safeway, and he's, please make sure you keep golf going, because in the initial days it was looking like everything was shutting down, and so, you know, there were just the fans, but also just people who automatically recognized that it was a great opportunity to get out and be active, but still have appropriate social spacing and complying with the public health orders, even in those early days. And so really glad to see that the community came out and supported golf. I guess, Gary, one of our first questions is always when it comes to public golf is our primary role of public golf is to make sure that our residents have a cost-effective and affordable option to play golf. And so I guess my question would be, can you in any reasonable way break down resident versus non-resident play at our facilities and tell me a little bit about what the mix is there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been doing surveys, and we have all our database here to the best of our ability, you know, with privacy concerns in check. On average, on any given day, and we'll call any day in the middle of summer, our percentage is approximately 55% North Shore residents, 45 or so off the North Shore. Now, if you go district of North Vancouver compared, and you separate city and West Vancouver and Lions Bay, it probably drops it down to about 48, 49%. So of course, golfers will play a course closest to their home, but the majority of golfers, so at least half of our golfers live off the North Shore, East Vancouver, Burnaby, but we do have people from Richmond, Surrey, everywhere playing. And without that component, you know, there's just not enough golfers on the North Shore on a regular to keep our tee sheet full. And there's other opportunities because since we're a public golf course, public golfers like to play a variety of courses. So just because you live on the North Shore doesn't mean you're going to play Northlands every single day. You're going to go out and check out the other municipal or other public opportunities out there.
I had another question for Gary, if I may. You know, we obviously want to be able to promote the low cost of golf on our facilities. Can you give me a sense of what the 2022 green fees are going to look like for regular play?
Yeah, our green fees went up $2 in 2021. And we are at the moment looking at a $2 increase. But what we look at is what the marketplace is doing. We're very conscious of where we sit in the marketplace because it is a competitive market. Even though COVID has turned that upside down, and other golf courses, they decide to do what they decided to do, but they marked up or they bumped up their green fees dramatically. And some courses that were not, considered relatively inexpensive, not so much right now. So we held our green fees steady. We didn't mark it up for any COVID issues. It was just, that was already the plan that we had in place from 2019 and 2020. There is still there's no major increase coming, just 2% increase.
Which makes it about $55 for a green fee for Northlands, and still the very economical about $7 or $8 at Myrtle Fraser. Is that correct?
That's right. Myrtle Fraser, I believe, is $12 right now.
$12, okay.
Yeah, for an adult. Yeah, in the marketplace, we out of all the municipal golf courses, we're fifth. Our direct competition that are not part of any municipal or any city golf operations, we're still have the best value out of all the public golf courses available.
Thank you, Gary. I have Councillor back. Go ahead.
Thanks very much, Your Worship. Thank you, Gary, for the presentation, and congratulations to you and your team on such a record year and for adapting to the challenges of the pandemic. I just had a question about introducing people to the sport. When you look at the long-term picture of golf and sort of the older, long-term golfers maybe aging out and trying to introduce new people to the sport. Do we do anything in the way of youth programs or introducing, other groups that may not be exposed to golf, either at Northlands or Myrtle?
Definitely at Myrtle. Myrtle
Yeah.
is definitely the facility that Ian works with. BC Golf gets a lot of his teaching lessons through there. So he's doing that he's not giving lessons because he's not a professional, but he's definitely the basics of golf and how to hold a golf club and make sure you don't hit your brother with the with the club. When it comes to Northland specifically, with the lack of a driving range and teaching facilities, what we try to do is just offer the golf course. We've been supporting North Shore high school golf teams since we've opened, or ever since golf became part of their curriculum and they came out. We're working with BC Golf all the time. We never say no to junior tournaments when it comes to to junior amateurs, whenever it fits for us. We take all our everything we can do to help junior golf. It's just our facility it's like going up to a mountain, and we're a black diamond golf course. And it's really hard for novice golfers to jump right in. But we promoted our junior rates, we offer great junior rates in the evenings. Once we get into, pretty much past Easter into April, we always have juniors play free as long as there's one adult accompanying playing. So we want to get families out. And I really think that promoting golf to families, and because what we've seen, the increase in play, even though the population is getting older, the last 3 to 4 years, we have seen the late 20s through the 40-year-olds, 45-year-olds are actually playing a lot more. I don't know if it's because they're the gig economy or working from home, or they have more flexibility than the standard 9 to 5 hours, Monday to Friday. We're just seeing people showing don't you work? It's like, no, yeah, I worked this morning at 4, or I don't work till 8 o'clock tonight, kind of thing. So that's what we're doing, and it's we hope to continue it.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks very much for the update. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other members of council have a question about golf? Councillor Forbes.
Thank you. Thank you for the report, Gary, and thank you for 25 years.
Thank you.
That's an accomplishment right there. I'm impressed with the revenue stream, and I'm just thinking, my own thoughts about it are probably it has a lot, even though it was COVID, it probably has a lot to do with either people working from home, some more available time perhaps, or more convenient time, but still the revenue increase is very impressive. I'd also like to say, when I was a beginner golfer, I considered Northlands. I was one of those beginners that went on Northlands, and it's target golf on Northland. So I can certainly see how you can't be a brand new beginner and deal with Northlands. Not unless you got a couple days and lots of time.
That's true. That's true.
So I just wanted to say that I'm impressed with what you're moving on with here too, with all your moving into the heat pumps and high efficiency furnaces and the equipment that you're replacing. All of that's really good news, and it's good because when people go to a golf course, they want to breathe the fresh air. So I'm really glad that you're doing all that as well. And I guess most importantly, even at Myrtle, I gave up on Northlands and went to Myrtle for a while. Even Myrtle, the fellow there, Ian, I think you said his name was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's really good. He's really exceptional. And even Myrtle is a pleasure to play. So I don't have to convince people, obviously, if you're getting people to come out more and more. One last thing, you said that the only planned green fees for Northlands is the usual 2%. Is that to begin this season, or that 2% will be next season?
Yeah, I think I misspoke. We're we're going to do a $2 increase to our green fee for peak
Okay.
season. So we were $75 weekends in the summertime. So we're going to go up to 77. It's just, those were the plans that we were doing, and that's where the market is right now. And so it's a modest increase. It's
But we don't charge, you said earlier about the advanced booking. We don't charge extra for advanced booking.
Yes, we do. It's a $10 per person
Oh,
charge.
okay.
Yeah, so that's where that.
Okay.
If I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear, the advanced booking fee, if someone wanted to book outside the 5-day advanced booking window that majority of our tea times were made available.
Okay.
If you want to book a foursome, it's a $10 per person fee. So they would pay $40 upfront online, and then they just check in and pay their green fees the day of.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
Okay, I believe Councillor Back, you had another question?
Thanks, Your Worship. I just wanted to go back, Gary, to the food and beverage operations, and you mentioned some of the challenges there, not just with COVID, but attracting an operator. Is that historically kind of been a challenge? And I wonder how many people come and come for a meal without golfing. Like, is the restaurant a draw on its own?
Where it's located, it's tough because it's most
Yeah.
restaurants on a main street. It's in a community neighborhood, so it is out of the way. It's not on a bus route, so it really does attract local or our immediate vicinity. I don't see too many people coming from the Lonsdale area traveling all the way here, but they do. Don't get me wrong. They do. I mean, again, it's such a beautiful facility up there, and it's the property itself. Like, we try to attract people going up the mountain during ski season and coming back down to try to get them in, but it's definitely mostly golfer use.
How about the events business? Like, I recall myself attending a couple of BNI networking events who used to regularly meet there. Was there a lot of that type of business before COVID? And what about other events like weddings and things?
Yeah, the facility upstairs, unfortunately, it doesn't have private areas. So it's trying to put a square peg in a round hole. To have a wedding, they've done weddings, and I'm, I used to be in the catering or the convention and hotel industry before golf in my previous life. And, if you can't do it well, especially weddings, it can go pretty bad. And they have done good jobs up there. But when you have of course, all the weddings are in summertime on a weekend, Friday, Saturdays, and we are a full golf course. And try to fit a wedding with a bunch of golfers who just came off the golf course, and they're all, either selling up their, small gambling debts or whatever it may be. There's loudness, there's, sometimes foul language in the middle of the speech. It just doesn't fit the space up there. So that's why we try to, with our food and beverage operator, we always try to avoid peak times. Fall weddings is always good. We don't have enough parking because on a busy day, our parking lot is full with golfers, and then try to fit in another 100 customers with weddings. It makes it difficult, not saying impossible, but I'm a firm believer, if you can't do it well, don't do it.
I appreciate that.
Do what what works and satisfies customers.
I was going to mention, Your Worship, we have from time to time looked at whether or not we need to add to the facility. The restaurant facility at some point will need to be replaced. And we have looked at whether or not it would be cost effective to add some kind of a convention facility and in particular a driving range, because a number of the driving ranges in the Lower Mainland have closed in recent years. So those things are still under consideration.
Yeah, I guess my only last question would be, obviously one of the key features of public golf is that we try to keep the fee as low as we reasonably can. And hearing a 4% approximately, maybe even a little more, the fees are climbing up. I actually thought peak golf there was around 55, not 70, and that is getting up there. So again, we got to do what we can to keep those fees down, let the private courses drive their, extra services and extra benefits, and have us try to keep it as a simple core golf facility. But I was a little surprised by how much that fee's gone up in the last few years. I've quit golf several times, and it's been a few years since I've been a regular participant, but I would have to say I was a little bit surprised by the increases there. But maybe it's something we're going to have to, just go over again with the finance committee or something, and just review and see what track we're on for fees, because that's something that was definitely one of the sales pitches of the municipality contributing so much land to Northlands Golf, was that we were going to be able to keep the cost very low for particularly our residents and amateur play. So, but thank you so much for your presentation, Gary. I see no further questions from council, and so I'm going to move on to the other items. So I'm going to head back to you, Mr. Joyce. I did just want to say I'm having some technical difficulty with my computer here, and if you lose me and I can't connect through the system here, Councillor Bond is supposed to be the acting mayor at this time. He's not on the call, so I think the next acting mayor in my calendar is, I believe the next one is Councillor Forbes. So if I do get disconnected, I hope Councillor Forbes that you can fill in just temporarily, but my computer has to unfortunately do an IT restart, and apparently it could be 2 minutes, it could be 20 minutes. So I may be shut out for a bit. But at this point, I'm going to go back to Mr. Joyce and return to you for the Ecology Center presentation intro.
Actually, thank you, Your Worship. Up next, actually, is the Maplewood Farm presentation. That will be by Selena Merrick, who is our new Maplewood Farm supervisor. Stephanie Warner, our parks manager, is also attended this evening. But the same format, Your Worship. We've got about a 15-minute presentation from staff and an opportunity for council to ask some questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Selena.
Thank you so much and welcome.
Excellent. Can everybody see and hear me okay? Great.
We can hear you. I don't know if your camera has been on, but I can hear you and I can see the slides.
Okay, excellent. That's the goal. So as Gavin said, my name is Selena Merrick. I'm the new Maplewood Farm supervisor, and I'm excited to get the opportunity to chance to talk to you guys tonight about everything that we do here at the farm. So during this presentation, I will take you through a little bit about our day-to-day operations, the importance of animal husbandry and animal welfare, as well as our recent enhancements to the farm, and the importance of Maplewood Farm in our community. So Maplewood Farm was developed into a thriving dairy farm in the early 1920s. It delivered fresh milk and cream from customers all the way from Deep Cove to Lonsdale for almost 3 decades. And by 1970, agriculture had almost disappeared from the North Shore, but the land that Maplewood Farm is situated on was then thankfully purchased by the district, being preserved for future generations to provide a unique rural experience in their ever-expanding urban community. The vision was to give children and families that may not otherwise have the opportunity a chance to see how a farm operated, educate the public on food and farm practices, and give people the chance to interact with these animals in an engaging way. So currently, Maplewood Farm employs 10 staff. We have 2 full-time farmers and 1 full-time cashier. Our farmers typically work a 10-hour day. They start in the early morning at 6:30 all the way till 5 p.m. and they look after all day-to-day operations. Farmers' responsibilities vary very greatly from everything from animal feeding, husbandry like stall mucking, animal health checks, administering medications, and daily training and enrichment. Farmers are well trained in proper animal handling techniques, husbandry, grooming, and nutrition to ensure that all of our animals are given the highest standard of care. A big part of the farmer's day is ensuring that all the animals are happy and healthy and stimulated, and communicating this proper care to our public. Most of our farmers' work is done in the public view so that our Our patrons are given the opportunity to engage about what it looks like to groom a horse and the importance of animal husbandry. In addition to animal care, farmers are responsible for educating and training both our volunteer and work experience students. Public demonstrations and displays such as milking demos and egg gatherings and enrichment displays are chances for farmers to engage with our visitors and explain more about animal husbandry, the specifics of the species that we house, and what animal care criteria looks like. So we've been working hard to begin incorporating some public events that members of the public can engage in a safe way, such as our Halloween pumpkin patch and our outdoor Christmas concert from the North Shore Chamber Orchestra. Farmers are also responsible for maintaining our community garden space, which holds over 15 different plots, which members of our community rent annually to grow their own produce. Our greenhouse space is maintained also by our farmers and volunteers, and this is used for enriching our animals' diets and educating the public on sustainable gardening practices that they can employ in their own gardens at home too. Our robust volunteer program supports various groups from ages 15 and up. And though it was dialed back during the past couple of years as much was during COVID, we've been working hard to revamp our volunteer program and get this up and running again. So we currently have students from North and West Vancouver school districts, which complete their work experience hours with us. These volunteers participate in everything from filling sawdust wheelbarrows, animal husbandry tasks, food prep, and animal grooming. We also have some post-secondary students working towards their vet school requirements, and they fulfill their volunteer hours with us weekly. Members from our local DDA group visit weekly or bi-weekly to complete smaller tasks such as stamping and filling our birdseed bags, and they tend to ground maintenance or grooming the goats. So this is a graph just outlining the monthly patron attendance to the farm from 2019 to 2021, with orange being in 2019, blue 2020, and purple 2021. So as you can see, our busiest season typically falls between May and October, when on average the farm can see almost 14,000 visitors per month. And in the past, this has been up to 1,500 people per busy day on the farm. In June to October, we were closed in 2019, and then we reopened to the public under capacity limits of about 75 people per hour. So we recently partnered with North Vancouver Rec to offer online reservation systems, and we've been able to slowly creep this hourly limit up to approximately 150 people per hour. And then that's led us to our recent busy weekend where we saw 676 visitors on a sunny Saturday afternoon. So people's appetite is definitely to get outside again and do something engaging with their children. So we're happy to continue to provide a safe and engaging activity for our community members. Global standards in animal care are the freedom from thirst, hunger, discomfort, distress, and the ability to express their normal behaviors. And these are our top priorities at the farm. Our goal is to not only provide fresh water and hay for our animals, but to demonstrate to the public what proper care and husbandry techniques look like. The farm provides the opportunity for public to learn about domestic farm animal care in a way that they might not have seen before. Our animals are treated with the utmost respect, and the community recognizes the importance of meeting these standards. Informed public increases the chances that poor animal practices are not happening elsewhere, and the more education that we can do surrounding these standards, the more animals that can be properly cared for. So when people tend to think of animal husbandry, they just think about maybe picking poo out of a paddock or mucking a stall, but Maplewood Farm provides the opportunity to learn all about animal husbandry, no matter what the animal entails. So this includes ensuring that proper food and shelter are being provided for the animal in question, that these animals are being managed and socialized correctly. And it can also involve things like proper substrate for horses' hoof health, and also largely incorporates levels of public safety. For example, the importance of hand washing before and after touching animals around the farm. So keeping our animals happy and healthy is at the root of all the care that we provide here, and that really starts with our husbandry standards. So recently working to develop a relationship with the BC SPCA farm, we've gotten them to come out and perform an inspection of the farm operations, which is something that we're hoping to have conducted annually going forward every spring. So this will give us an opportunity to look for further ways to improve our quality of animal practices and provide the best possible care for all of the animals at our farm. Lots of these individuals don't realize, for example, how milk is produced and the consequences of this practice. So recently, our dairy cow, Izzy, was pregnant and she gave birth to our bull calf, as seen here, Jet. So we were able to pilot a new weaning program using udder nets, which we ordered from Germany, and we were able to train him eventually to free feed. So he fed whenever he was hungry with no negative symptoms. And then mom and baby were able to stay together full time. So these aspects of animal welfare aren't typically thought about on a farm, but are important to highlight, especially for public education. Enrichment is the process of stimulating animal senses through sight, smell, touch, taste, or their environment. And people don't typically tend to think of domesticated animals as needing enrichment, but these animals require just as much stimulation as any other animal in captivity. So enriching animals' lives leads to a decrease in stereotypic behaviors such as pacing, licking, and gnawing. And we've recently started a new enrichment program here. So the goal is to enrich every single animal's lives every single day. So whether that be through moving them around their enclosure, rotating them to a new paddock space, giving them a new friend in their stall, or like a toy or a new treat. The goal is to improve the quality of care of our animals, and as well as public education around animal enrichment and how they can enrich the animals in their own lives. A little bit about recent farm enhancements over the last year. So these include security cameras to high traffic areas around the farm, upgrades to our program and amenity room that we host our public events and birthday parties in, enhancements of our animal rest areas for animals to go and get away from the public when they choose to have a break, installation of a fire suppression system in our livestock barn, installation of more bat and owl boxes around the farm to promote more natural predators. And then our store has begun offering more sustainable and eco-friendly interactive items, looking to incorporate more ways to educate our community through our products. We look forward to continuing to expand on our animal enrichment practices and hope to include further programming promoting animal care, husbandry, urban farm education, and sustainable farming practices. So we've recently partnered with both Save on Foods and North Vancouver Salvation Army to reduce our own carbon footprint and help reduce food waste in our community. Both of these organizations, they often have way too much produce weekly and they end up throwing way too much of it away. So we're able to reach out and come to arrangements just to use up some of this leftover fruit and veg and enrich our animals' lives. So that not only ensures that this food is not going to waste, but ensures that our animals are also receiving like well-balanced and enriched nutritional diets. We have an ongoing relationship with our neighboring school, which is Kenneth Gordon, and our child minding facility that we share a parking lot with, which is Thrive Family Center. So both facilities have special memberships to the farm in which like children during child minding or school hours are able to come to the farm for a break from their usual day to get outside and interact with nature and the animals. This opportunity to come and connect with the animals is something that these children are super excited about and may not otherwise have the opportunity to do. Moving forward, the farm is excited to continue offering our unique experiences for our community to engage and learn about our ethical and sustainable farm practices. We're excited to expand on our existing relationship with the Ecology Center and look forward to bridging these two important educational facilities in future programs. We also plan to expand in our youth and children's school and summer camp programs, as well as looking forward to hosting more public events and workshops around the farm, as well as finding more ways for community engagement. I wanted to end this presentation by just sharing two of my most favorite recent quotes from farm visitors, which I think provide great context on recent farm enhancements and the general tone of things lately. So I've noticed a lot of changes around the place lately, and I shared that with your staff today. The place has been transformed. Also, a great place to take your family, and there's not many places like this left. So though we recognize we still have some room to grow and improve, we're just so excited to continue to provide a unique and high quality educational experience to visitors for years to come. And just questions.
Well, thank you so much for your presentation. I have a question. In your presentation, you said something that came up and down a little bit quick, and I just want to make sure I heard it right. Promote natural predators at the farm. What does that mean?
That means that we have a little bit of a mouse problem, and especially after the not use of any rodenticides on anywhere, we are just looking for more ways to get the mice to stop living in our hay.
So you want some owls brought in or something
Yes.
to balance that out. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then just always curious, I was able to go through there with my daughter the other day, and we had a great time. It was a bit rainy today, and we got chased around by the ducks all day, which she loved. What is the gate fee for adults and kids? Again, if you could remind us.
So right now for an adult, it's $9. And then children 18 months younger are free, 18 months and older and seniors are $6, $5.31.
Thank you so much. Councillor Hanson, your questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you very much for the presentation. And I have to regretfully say I haven't visited Maplewood Farm recently, and I plan to now that I've heard the presentation. So thank you for that. You mentioned at the peak month there's 12,000 plus people coming through Maplewood Farm. A very impressive number. Can you give us any idea of the clientele, where they're from, the makeup of the clientele? I take it they're families, a lot of young children, but could you provide a little more description of who attends at Maplewood Farm? Thank you very much.
Typically it is young families, but we are a tourist attraction, and we do have people coming from all over. People, when they Google what to do in Vancouver this weekend, we pop up, and we do see a lot of just one-timers. That being said, we do track our members, and a lot of those people are North Shore residents. So I don't have the actual statistics on those numbers, but we can definitely get that back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Forbes.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Selena. It looks all so exciting down there, and I haven't been there in a little while, so I'm going to come down for a visit too. Maybe I'll ask if I can borrow a cow or a donkey, because your grass field looks better than my backyard. So
we might be able to work
do the
something out.
fertilizer and the use. Yeah. The reservation system that you talked about, if somebody wants to use that, a family wants to use that, can they book through calling you and the North Van Rec Center, or is it just the North Van Rec Center?
Either or, yeah. So right now,
Either
yeah, exactly. We get it in live time from Perfect Mind, is the system that North Van Rec is using. So we have our own login, and we're able to pull from that, but they can also just drop in or call us directly.
Are you getting very many people using that?
About 60% of our, yeah, about 60% of our visitors are now booking online. I think it's just through COVID, we're all kind of in the habit of looking and see if we have to make a reservation before we go do anything now. So it's actually easier for us to kind of manage our staffing and kind of plan ahead for the day when we know who's going to be here when.
Sure, that makes sense. How many, I may have missed this in your presentation, how many animals do you have, like approximately? What's the population down there?
So if we're counting every chicken, then we currently have 53 animals total.
Okay.
That's not counting our wild ducks that everybody loves to feed. They're on their own.
Okay. And just, I guess my last question is, what more could we, the district, do for you down there?
Oh boy, that's a big question. I think I think it'd be great if everybody could come visit the farm. I think a lot of people haven't been here in a long time, so I'm excited to see more faces around here and just have more conversations about what this looks like going forward.
And just promote it for you as much as we can.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, I'll be down to visit, and thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
We'll have a council meeting at the goat paddock there. Speaking of the goats, I have another question. We used to have a goat yoga program in partnership with another operator. And I understand that operator was interested in running it again. Can you maybe tell me that just run its course? Is that something that rec has to arrange through the booking system?
You know what? I have heard a couple whispers of this in the past couple weeks, and this is something that I would be super interested in exploring in the future. This is something that they would reach out to us, and we can look into what it looks like logistically in terms of what their needs are and what works best for the farm operationally. I wasn't unfortunately here during goat yoga in the past, but I've heard that it was a hoot, so I'm definitely open to it going forward.
I will send them your direction. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Councillor Back, your comments.
I'll just thank you for the presentation, Selena. I really appreciate it, and you can hear the passion for the farm in your voice. So keep doing all the good things that you're doing down there. My wife has been down there with our little 1.5-year-old son, and he just loves coming to the farm. So we'll be down there lots in the months and years ahead. So sounds like things are going really well, and thanks again for the presentation.
Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, Council, I see no further speakers. Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. That was very informative, and I will definitely have to get back down there and visit the farm again. And it sounds like a number of other members of council are going to do the same. Okay, back to you, Mr. Joyce.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Back to you for the Ecology Center, please.
Correct. Council, your final presentation this evening is by Michelle Martin, who is our supervisor at the Ecology Center. And boy, they're doing some neat things out in the Ecology Center these days, leveraging technology and alike. I'm sure when you listen to this presentation, you'll also, if you haven't been, want to get out and see some of the new things. But I won't steal any of Michelle's thunder, and same format, please. We'll go through 15 or so minutes and then questions for council at the end. Thank you. Michelle.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor and Council, and thank you for inviting the Ecology Centre to speak tonight. We love the opportunity to talk about ourselves. So I'm just going to share the screen, and hopefully you can all hear me okay. So if not, let me know. Okay, let's do this. And hopefully you're getting this right. All right, so let's talk ecology. Now we're getting to the fun part of the evening, best till last, right? And I didn't mean anything by that, Selena, at all. You were fabulous, and so was Gary. So ecology, when people talk about ecology, such a misunderstood word right off the get-go, because most people don't really even know what it means. And I get lots of explanations when I ask, what does ecology mean? And people generally say long-winded things and mention words like biomass and habitat and ecosystems. And you know, it's much simpler than that. So ecology means, comes from the Greek word oikos, and it means home. And so basically it's learning about the home you live in. It's that simple. So we all know we like to go out for a walk and get connected with nature. For me, going out for a walk is great, but the real joy is when you understand what you're looking at. And I would like it, the Ecology Centre's mission is to make sure that every resident, when they walk past that tree or that bug or that slug, that they know something about it and that they realise that they are so important, and we could not exist without them. And we all need them as much as we need each other in our everyday lives. So who are we at the centre? Well, one part of what we do is our nature museum. And you can see we have our well-loved traditional displays, like on the side here. We have the opportunity to sort of showcase district initiatives, such as the rodenticide ban on public lands. We have 4 panels on display in the centre. We also, it's worth noting, just before I get sort of rabbiting on, because I talk quite quickly, that we have 3 full-time staff at the centre and the equivalent of 1.6 hours in auxiliaries. So the number to remember there is 4.5 staff that do everything that you're about to see this evening. All the magic is all down to 4.5 staff. So I'm pretty proud of that. We have been an integral part of the community for 50 years. And that's why we're sort of the recipients of lots of local awards. And it seems like an oxymoron. We actually have an ecology centre store, but it is, to us, that's an education tool. We're not cost neutral. We need to raise revenue. But I would like everyone that comes to our store to think of the value of what you're going to buy and think about its birth, life and death of that product. And what I mean by that is the birth of a product is where did it come from? What you're buying, was it mined out of the ground somewhere? Its life, that means, well, what are you going to use it for? Do you really need it? Can you pass it on to someone? And then the death of that product, always think about how is it going to be recycled, or is it going to sit buried in the ground for 450 years like those plastic water bottles? And our store operates on a donations system, and so that's a revenue generation tool for us. The reason for that, it's not that easy to charge admission and be a successful nature museum anywhere in our province, and we're actually one of the best cost per head operating. I believe we operate about $2.50 per person that walks through the door, and most nature museums around the province come in at $10 per head, so we're doing a pretty good job there. Lynn Canyon in miniature. So we turned 50 this last year in 2021 on the 2nd of October. And to celebrate, we installed our dioramas. We have 3 of those. We have one of the suspension bridge, of course. They're new exhibits for us. They took 2 years to build, one of Twin Falls, one at 30-foot pool. And they took 2 years because the level of detail was very impressive. This is actually it's built as a real suspension bridge, was the only way to actually technically make it to hang the right way. The stumps have bracket fungus on them. You can spot bears and pileated woodpeckers if you come and see. Yeah, the level of detail was really great. Why have we got miniatures of the park inside the museum? Well, our future and all of our work is intricately woven into the park. We're not under any illusion as to why we get 88,000 people through the door in a normal year. We're right next door to the suspension bridge, which brings, you know, under a sort of 700,000 or 800,000 people to the park every year. So we use that, we maximize that, and you know, the park is our classroom. And just something I would like to mention, that we've been open for 50 years. And in that 50 years, our world population was 4 billion in 1970. It's now nearly 8 billion. So that's doubled in 50 years. And yet the biodiversity of the whole planet has sort of decreased by 68%. So for an ecology centre, that's not a great statistic, but for us, it means we have more work to do. So we're able to blend our traditional displays with our new tech, and we've recently invested in quite a lot of new tech. Here you can see, this is an example of one of our interactive iPad displays where you can come and work out your own personal carbon footprint. And if you want to go further afield, Megan here in this photo is actually working out how she impacts the world globally, not just that carbon footprint, but she can look up and see whether a shampoo product she buys is going to actually be affecting the palm oil forests in Borneo, and in turn those orangutan species population. All these things, it's about, yes, we are residents locally in Northland District, but we have a great impact, and we want to sort of bring that and highlight that to our local residents, and they're super interested in it as well. The museum is just one part of what we do. We also have been running programs for 50 years, formerly for 40, and we average, say the last 10 years, around 400 programs a year. And we run all kinds of programs for adults, programs, we run speaker programs. When the bridge was closed, we went out to classrooms. We run school programs in the park ordinarily, summer camps, spring break events, expert speakers, local interest. We have the North Shore Black Bear Society, we collaborate with them, parents and toddlers, we do all of that. And, you know, just one note, it's really worth mentioning, our classroom is Lynn Canyon Park. So our in-person programs are all out in the park. And unlike some municipalities that solely operate outdoors, we have that advantage of having the indoor classrooms. We can start out there, head out into the park for the program, head back, dry off, use it for field studies, or perhaps for story times for the younger ones. So because we have the inside outside option, just for front and start of things, we actually have this high tech ability that other outdoor education can't offer. I do think the district's been really ahead of the game, because, you know, we've been running outdoor education. These days, society is very aware of outdoor education and, you know, looking after the planet. But we've, you know, as a district, we should pat ourselves on the back. We've been doing it for 50 years with the Ecology Centre, and very successfully. Because of our sort of a unique position with our tech ability and also our outdoor education expertise, we were able to, this really came into its own through COVID. So I think the museum actually closed on March the 17th, and 2 days later, we were able to swivel, pivot, and actually run a virtual program. We'd actually already been looking at Zoom before COVID, so we were very unusual in that way. And so we were actually able to stream live out into the park when everybody's locked at home. We were able to say, here's Cassie with a slug and a tree, and right into your living room. By May, we were running a full complement. There were 12 virtual programs in May. And the 2 family programs that we ran had a total of 253 participants in, just for those 2 programs. We also ran 4 adult garden workshops. We ran craft nature videos, YouTube videos that they could watch, you know, residents could watch anytime. Story times for toddlers, and programs. We ran interactive programs for educators so we could help them out. Because we were so quick to switch, we were actually contacted by the rec centre, by the libraries, by schools, saying things like, well, you know, we can't use Zoom, which we just sort of worked out. We have to use Teams. How on earth do you use that? So we were able to help in that way. We had organisations like the SPCA also contact us for our sort of knowledge on that. So I think that's also worth mentioning. We're good at our graphics. We do all of the graphics. We, you know, 4.5 staff, and our graphics display technician creates all the content. This is up on display right now. As you walk through, we have our new 75-inch screen display. This is advertising our spring break mini camps, which sold out in 2 days. We have Facebook account, we have Instagram. Maybe that's not everybody's perception of the Ecology Centre, but we have a wide reach. And we're able to reach people with this sort of high tech quality and our traditional well-loved methods. Here, we're also advertising the fact that we have a membership program. So you can join the Ecology Centre, and that entitles you to sort of discounts in the store and on programs, as well as special access to speaker events and sort of nature interpretive walks that we do. So you'll get special ones of those. The last thing there was just advertising a plastic drop-off. So we encourage people to get involved with us on all our projects. And this is actually building a new display. And I'll just forward that to the next one. So if that wasn't enough, last year we thought our website looked a bit tired, so we created a new one, and we sort of control all creation of all the content. And I haven't mentioned volunteers. If you're a volunteer, you can click on the website and you could join. We call them the Friends of the Ecology Centre. We've always worked with volunteers. If you want to volunteer, you can be pretty much most ages. If you're 10, you can come and help do cleanups of the park. You can be a digitisation assistant as an adult. You can get service hours as a high school student on our camps, or you can be an adult field trip assistant when we do our regular programming. That's another part of what we do. But, you know, we're all about education in any way we can, sharing everything we do with our community. So this is an example. We put up a webcam just outside the centre of a nest box, and over just a 2-week period we had all of these different species just visit. So we just saw a Pacific wren looking for bugs, and here's the northern flicker that decided to look for insects too. And then in the next few days, we had various visitors. This is a dark-eyed junco, just checking out what's going on. Was a bit surprised when I don't know how good the quality of what you're receiving is, but there was a bee in the nest box. So the junco didn't quite like that. So out goes the bee. That's nature in action there, took out the bee. And then returned later with a mate, and they actually built a nest in that nest box and had 4 chicks, which actually all flew, and which was great. And so this is the kind of thing we can do. We can screen this kind of thing and bring that out to our wider audience all the time that we might not see every day when we're just standing in the park. Collaborations, partnerships. We have our fingers in a lot of pies. So I haven't even got all of the partners. I haven't got Maplewood on here, and I haven't got other partners like California Nature Center, where we'll do virtual trading partnerships. So we can, we've seen the interest from our residents, so we can host a virtual program, and residents can then tune in and see what's happening live stream to the desert in California, for instance, and compare the habitat to up here in the temperate rainforest. Very quickly, just as an example, we have 2 practicum students every year from UBC. We help them finish off their training. Capilano University and ourselves collaborate so that the students there get to complete a 4th year course, which makes the ecological restoration degree a 4-year degree instead of their 3-year degree. And they do that by collaborating with us, and we let them run a project in the park, and then the data that they get, we get to keep, and it increases our knowledge of the biodiversity in the park, which is fantastic. And so it's a really nice partnership. We, the rec centre visits us every year with their day camps, and we'll run programs for them. We run a huge amount of school programs every year. And I would say 60% of the programs there are for North Shore schools. One thing to note when we're talking about who are we running all these programs for, and it's important for us to bring our residents with this, into this global perception. And so Hancock Wildlife Foundation, he's been a biologist since 1962, and he's an eagle expert. And he said to me, Michelle, one thing you need to remember is that there's not a Pacific Ocean, an Atlantic Ocean, or an Indian Ocean. There's one ocean, and whatever's lapping up on our shores today will be lapping up on the shores on the other side of the world in a not too distant future. And so for us, it's all about bringing all of these partners in and making our residents realise that we are all global partners. And so if, somebody from London has joined our virtual programme, or from the Yukon, we welcome that as well, because it sort of helps us link up and network with all of these other partner groups, which has been fantastic. Quickly with statistics, so we celebrated our 50th birthday, and we've welcomed over 3 million visitors through the doors to date. In 2019, as I said, we normally have about 88,000 visitors year on year. It was a slightly lower year in 2019 because of the bridge closures and the parking lot renovations in the park. But fast forward to 2021, and in person, because of COVID, we had 12,700 people through the door, which is quite low. But then look at what's been going on with our programs, and remember our programs are largely to our local community here. So in 2019, 9,600 registrations in a fairly pretty typical year. 2021, and then suddenly we still have nearly 7,000 program registrations. And I think that's fantastic when you look at the physical numbers in person, but we managed to sort of maintain, because programming has been a staple for us. Even in 2020, 6,400 people through the door. And, we're not cost neutral. We're about 40% cost recovery on our service, and we really are a service. So as I've said, the outdoor Lynn Canyon Park, this is our classroom, rain or shine, and we've run programs out there for sort of 40, 50 years and continue to do so all through COVID, and they've been super, super popular and successful. Outdoor learning, we also run and collaborate programs, interpretive nature walks, for instance, with the Rangers, and we've done a collaboration with them since 2019. We've used the upper classroom in the cafe. So although the building seems to have appeared a bit empty, we've been using that top room as part of our programming. So we've been able to spread our reach because we never have enough room for all the things that we're doing. So that's been fantastic during these times. We also, if you don't want to just come in and look at displays, you can get straight out in the park, pick up a booklet, which will actually allow you to sort of direct your own exploration, and you can use our guided trail posts and learn a little bit about the trees and the slugs and in the environment you're in. And obviously the new pedestrian zone in front of the cafe has been great. This was our 50th celebration, this photo, and we plan to do more of those this summer. We've got lots of partner groups and environment groups we can invite in, and that just draws a nicer crowd so people can learn about their local environment, which is fantastic. So future plans, well, as you can see, we've been moving things on a bit the last few years. We're constantly evolving, and we're hoping to extend the programming with maybe opening up that area in front of the ecology centre, so as maybe an extra teaching area, and it helps to draw visitors in if they can see the building a bit easier. We want to build on our recent successes, so the upgrades to the displays and technology that we've made recently. We want to continue with that and sort of provide a refresh on our existing favourites and more interactivity. That's great. This is a panel of one of the displays we upgraded a few months back. And after sort of recent building studies, the actual museum building is in pretty good shape. It's part of our heritage. It was built for the centennial. We could do with upgrades, obviously, to the back classroom as our needs expand. I'm sure we need to put public washrooms in there at some point. And, you know, obviously, as the building ages, we need to take care of it. And we've got ideas for other usages and flex areas for that too. And we want to continue to enhance interpretive signage, just to sort of improve the park users' experience and their understanding of the rainforest, which is our big goal. All right, some fun stuff, finally, some fun stuff. So when we take a group, kids, adults out into the park, we have lots of tech to hook them in and make things more fun. So it's a small device. This is called an Echo touch meter, and it just sort of fixes on to your phone. I don't know if you can see me, but I can show you it at the end. And you can just walk around with it on your phone or an iPad that we use at the centre. And as you walk around, you can see, I just need to move this out of the way so I can actually show you the sound. You can actually start to monitor if there is any bat activity in the area. Even in the day, we can pick them up. So you will get an image if you hear a bat. You will suddenly, I'm not sure if you're going to hear this, let me know if you can't. So this is a echolocation that's actually translated into a sound that we can hear. And then when we hear that, we can actually then get a reading. We can click on the bat icon, which gives us a GPS location. The ecology centre's right here. And these are bats that are just hanging out in the day whilst they're on their migration through, just like birds, bats migrate too. And then we can actually click on the little bat icon and it will tell us which kind of bat. And this is in fact a hoary bat, which is well known to migrate through our park through certain periods of the year. This is a great hook. If you've got a kid and you can suddenly tell them and let them hear the sound of a bat up in the forest, and you can actually locate the tree that they're in, it's just fantastic. It makes me smile still, and I've done it every day. We love that sort of tech. Now, I've been told that this doesn't translate, well, I'm going to try. So this device on the right here is what we call a stethoscope, and it looks a bit like a stethoscope. It's a small round device, and you actually just, whoops, hold it onto the, I dropped it, but you hold it onto the side of a tree. And when you play it, and I don't know if it will play here, you might not hear this one. I'm not sure if you get that or not, but so what you're hearing is the sound of a tree slurping up water through its tree trunk. And it's really fun. If you put this device on something just like a flat table, it's silent. You put it on the trunk, you hear it slurping up water while it's pulling up water. If you put it on the leaf, when the sun comes out, you'll hear a popping sound, and that's as it's releasing bubbles of oxygen. The tree is breathing. It's incredible. And as the shade comes over, the one that makes the kids jump up ecstatically is because they've just heard the popping sound with the sun. As the shade comes over, it goes silent because the tree has stopped making food while the shade is up. It's fantastic. We love these kind of things. We've got cameras. We use bird apps. Merlin Bird app is a great free one that we use. We like these things. These is what gets everyone excited. What gets me excited when I'm working out in the park with everyone. We've been using these macroscope devices, what we call Elmo Microscopes, since the early 2000s, and they are really great. So we could do the program outside. We'll collect some leaves or maybe a slug or a bug, bring it back, put it under the camera, and you can see it really close up. Here's a sword fern, and it's just overturned. And these tiny little bubbly things, they are spores, which are just seeds without a hard outer case. That's why they're called spores. And they, sometimes when we hold them under the camera, you can actually see them dry and start popping off, and that's how they actually distribute onto the ground. We've got a new piece of tech again, which is fantastic, a remote operated vehicle underwater. It's silent, it has 5 propellers, doesn't bother the fish, and I will show you that in action in just a second. Here's the favorite bit. You've listened to me drone on. How about this? So this is our wonderful banana slug. This is what we do. So we'll bring a slug, we'll put it in real time under the camera and show everyone. This hole here, that's his breathing hole. That's called a pneumostome. And this line along the edge, that's the skirt of the slug. And that helps suction him down. And then the muscles ripple underneath and he slides along on that slimy trail, which is fantastic. It's really protective. Even if he went over something sharp, he wouldn't get cut. The 2 dots there, that's his optic eye tentacles. That's how he sees light and dark. And now we're going to see what we call a slug 100 pack, not a 6-pack. So this is how he ripples his muscles underneath to move him along. He does have a tongue tucked away at the front there, and that's called a radula, and he has 27,000 teeth on it. So 27,000 tiny little points that lick things, big like lumps of leaves off of the ground. He's pretty awesome. He is the 2nd largest slug in the world, so that's quite good bragging rights for our Lynn Canyon Park right here. This is great. If you're doing this, we also collect water invertebrates. This is from Lynn Creek. And this little animal, invertebrate, has no bones. He is an insect. So you can always look smart to your friends if you say, he has 6 legs. Anything that has 6 legs is an insect. And this one is one that lives underwater. And he has a long sticky body and he rolls it in the little granules of sand on the floor there. And he'll stick them to him like a hermit crab. So he makes his own house. And then as he gets bigger, I'm just going to stop that. This one is actually the same, but the tiny caddisfly has sealed up his home. And this one has not built his home out of rocks. He's built it out of little needles. So we call that one a log house in the trade. And the other guys are the rock one. They build rock homes. So I'll stop that. It gets a bit fuzzy on that one. So this kind of thing, they only live in clean water, by the way. Quickly switching, because I know I talked too long. This is a rainbow trout, and this is our ROV underwater at 30-foot pool. It's pouring with rain on this day. It was the first day we'd actually used it, but we were mesmerized because underwater, it doesn't matter. The fish are hanging out down there. We can use this off the docks at Deep Cove, anywhere, around the district to bring education. We can live stream it through our programs on the live cam straight back into a program. So, we see this as a great hook. We've actually think we found some endangered steelhead trout down further down in the creek that we're really excited about. So I'm just going to stop sharing, and I could talk for even longer, but I think I should ask for questions.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I guess I think you can see from all 3 of the presentations from Gary, Selena, and Michelle that we have staff that are very excited about the work they do, and that's exciting for us as well. Checking in with council members, do you have any questions for Michelle in her presentation? I was going to mention that I had the great pleasure of being there for the 50th anniversary of the Ecology Center, and we had the family of Dirk Oostindi present to talk about. They talked to us a little bit about his history with the parks, and he was, when he was the park manager for the District of North Vancouver, created both the Maplewood Park and the Ecology Center, and was a big part of the history of our community and really making parks a core piece of the identity of our community. So it was a lot of fun to be there for the 50th anniversary of the facility and the 50th anniversary of the Baden-Powell Trail, if I recall correctly, for that same day. Councillor Kern, I see a question from you.
Thanks for that presentation. That was so fun. I love the Ecology Center, and I love miniature, and I'm also like a huge nerd, so I just love it all. So thank you for that presentation. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. And it sounds like we have to continue on this conversation. Some of the things that I know that we're working on at the municipality that would be great to integrate. I did see when you had your partners that you had Squamish Nation listed, but I noticed when I was there and you were talking about potentially some new signage and wayfinding and things, and I think there's so many great opportunities to connect Indigenous language, art, culture in that space. And so just that opportunity to work with Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh specifically on that. I don't know if there's any comment on that work. Actually, Erwin Oostindi, who is the son of, I think it's, you know, looking back 50 years, that was quite progressive to do the Ecology Center. So I think it's, you know, just thinking back to things that we do, the former us does that we're so glad that exists now 50 years later. And obviously talking about 68% of life on Earth sort of being extinguished in a very astonishing short period of time. That connection to place and connection to land and connection to each other, all of the messaging I think is so important, and you do so much. Like all of those programs are so important. We need them everywhere. We need everyone to learn and to feel like they can be part of building something, creating something very, very different. So yeah, I was just wondering about work on, so Erwin, his son, actually, I just went to a talk that was on decolonizing conservation, which was a really interesting talk at the Wild Bird Trust on the weekend. So I wondered what work was happening in that area and what opportunities there might be. I think that's exciting ways to learn and expand our perspective and our knowledge.
Yeah, and that's really good. And I did have the Squamish Nation on one of our partners. Hopefully, hopefully you saw that. So we have run partnerships and collaborations with the elders from Squamish Nation for many years actually, and we will not do any programs pertaining to any of their knowledge without them involved at any point. We never have done. And yes, I'm very interested in the whole placekeeping, which is a sort of an Indigenous way of marking areas, and with more education signage around that. So I'm sure that's a conversation that we will be having shortly when we look at the interpretive signage for sure. So I think that would be a nice complement to each other, along with all of the sort of ecological points. Because you know what, when we've done walks with the elders, we're all talking the same language, so we complement each other so well. And yeah, I think that's something that we'll just continue to sort of highlight as we go forward from here. So.
Yeah, it looked like some of the signage that was around, like as you come up from the bridge crossing from Lillooet, as you go over the suspension and you come up, there's like wayfinding signs there that actually seemed quite old. And I think some of the, I remember I took photos of them, or I was with my mom and I said, I was trying to find them, but I couldn't find them, because I said, can you take photos of these? Because I wanted to talk to Stephanie or someone about them, but I can't remember exactly what they were, but we can certainly follow up on that. And that camera is definitely coming to Deep Cove. You mentioned it, so let's make it happen.
I've got a lot of requests for that. It's going to be very popular in the next few months.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for that. And yeah, I think it's just such a special place, and we're really lucky to have access to it. And more of it, all of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you bring that underwater camera down to Kate's Park, you can probably dredge and make money with it. It's there's so much stuff dropped off the dock at the end there.
Yeah.
Council, I don't see any other speakers at this time. Hey, Councillor Forbes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Michelle. That was an extremely good presentation. And as Mr. Joyce said, the technology is unbelievable what you have there. I would like to invite you for a glass of wine and sit down and listen to you for another hour or so about what's going on. It's pretty incredible what's going on up there. So yeah, I'm going up there. As soon as I can get up there, I'm going up there and I'm going to play around with all your toys. Thank you very much for all that you do. And I'm very impressed if you're doing that on like 4.5 staff, all what you're doing. How many volunteers do you actually have? I know at the museum, they have quite a, Friends of the Museum type organization, and they have quite a very large group of volunteers. Are you similar like that? Is it quite a large group?
Depends, because obviously if we're doing programming with groups, then we always have an assistant that can be a volunteer, but they can't run programs necessarily. So we have a steady stream of them, I would say. Through COVID it's lessened down, but if we were doing a school program, we would generally have another adult volunteering who would like to come out and help wrangle wrangle groups in the park. It's always good for that. So yeah, a nice steady stream always. We used to have probably more going back in different years, but yeah, we do a lot on 4.5 staff. So yeah, it's excellent.
You certainly do, and it's wonderful. It's a joy listening to you. You can tell that you really love it. So it's a joy to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Forbes. Mr. Stewart, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a brief one. Back in the 2000s, there was talk about, letting Northlands go to the private sector and shutting down the farm and shutting down the ecology center. And I'm just so proud of this generation of staff that have really regenerized all those facilities. And they're all very successful right now. And we have a lot to be proud about. There's not a lot of similar enterprises in the Lower Mainland. And I'm just, as I say, really proud. The changes to the farm, the changes to the ecology center, they just really, in a lot of ways, represent what North Vancouver is all about. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to recognize the efforts that are there.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Mr. Joyce, your comments?
Yeah, just what David said. I was sitting here thinking, Mr. Stewart and I were in front of the council in 2008-9, reviewing the core services and things we wouldn't do anymore. And as David alluded to, this came up, and I just wrote down as they were finishing, the instructions at that point was to get Northlands on solid financial footing, refresh and renew the farm, and the ecology center, the building was tired and old, and move the programs out into the forest with the rangers. And I think we've done all three of those things with the staff. So as David said, very proud of the staff that we've got. That's all three facilities are in really good hands, and happy we did this workshop tonight, actually. Very happy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joyce. Yeah, I don't see any members of the council. So now, recognize we've come to the end of 3 presentations for the night. I'm going to open up an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I see Mr. Teven has his hand up. Mr. Teven, 3 minutes to address the workshop.
Well, thank you very much. Boy, what a great night. I want to thank everybody for those presentations. For a grumpy old guy like me, this is the kind of stuff that makes us happy to pay taxes. I mean, these are wonderful programs. Just a quick mention to Michelle. We're having a lot of fun watching your slides up until you said, now come the fun slides. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And at the point you said, this is the sound of a tree drinking, I literally said out loud, shut up. Thank you so much. A quick note on Northlands Golf. One of my mentors and a good friend of our family is Don Davis, who helped champion Northlands Public Golf. And I always want to make sure we remain faithful to the original mandate, which was public golf. And so I would counsel you always to, yes, when it comes to golfers from outside of our district, compete with the other golf courses. But when it comes to people from the North Shore, I don't think that revenue generation really should be the mandate there. And I would much rather see us base the course fees for North Shore residents on cost recovery rather than staying with the market. Just really a couple ideas for all of these programs, especially for Maplewood Farm and the Ecology Center. You know, we've got a wonderful center of excellence for young filmmakers at CapU. And, you know, I'm listening to these presentations tonight, and I'm thinking about how similar they are to all the documentaries I enjoy on National Geographic Channel and things like that, you know, with the, wild vets and the farms and the game farms. I would really encourage you to reach out and partner with them. You know, I'm sure we could get some grants for student job programs and produce a series of documentaries to broaden your outreach, because I was riveted all night. And the last thing I'll say is, if you're looking for a restaurant operator at Northlands for the long term, I'm a person, we have a group of guys that we like to get together for breakfast in non-COVID times anyway. And certainly I think that they could be doing even better if they wanted to with the restaurant facility at Northlands. And specifically what I would love to see is make the opportunity available to up and coming chefs from the Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish nations, because what we could really use on the North Shore is a destination First Nations based good restaurant to go to, and what a venue that would be. So I really want to encourage you to look at that. So filmmaking, First Nations restaurant. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Peter Teven. Any other members of the public wishing to join the discussion? Just put your virtual hand up and we'll try to include you. Or members of the council. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on then. Once again, on behalf of the council, to all of the presentations tonight, it's very clear that we have very engaged staff in these areas, and I think you've seen the excitement from the council as well, just seeing a little bit about what you do, and hopefully council will take time to come and see your operations in further detail. I think that would serve our community well. On behalf of the council, I want to thank all the members of the public, members of staff, and everybody who attended and participated in tonight's workshop. Thank you for your participation and have a fantastic week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.